And we'll just take a moment here that, you're sitting here thinking about all the ways that trauma is present in your work. And it's a lot. It can feel kind of overwhelming to see it all out there or to just be thinking about all the ways that trauma shows up. So just acknowledging for a second, it's a lot. And we're going to be talking throughout today about how do we kind of move forward given that it's a lot. But now what we're going to do is to talk about it a little bit. I think we'll stay with table groups for now. We'll mix up groups a little bit later. And what I would love for you to do at your tables is to pick maybe one or two categories, because you're not going to have time to go through every one. So maybe one that you're interested what other people had to say or you want to share. You're going to talk a little bit about the types of things that came up for you, again, being mindful about specifics. And then just talking about what kind of comes up for you as you look at this. As you came up with these responses, how'd you feel about it? What is the impact on your work? So you're just sort of processing what came up in this, in making these, and filling these out. Make sense what you're doing? Okay, and go. If you can hear my voice, take a deep breath. It's a little alternative I recently learned to, if you can hear my voice, clap your hands. I'm a fan. I like that. Isn't that nice? Like a little sneak attack mindfulness moment for students. I did find that with my younger students, they really their deep breath was really dramatic. They were like, so it didn't totally work in that setting, but. Okay, so we have just 2 minutes before we're going to do a break. We're not going to go around every table, but I would like to hear from maybe 4 people to fill in the blank of one of these prompts. So fill in the blank of one thing that you noticed during this conversation, or fill in the blank of one thing that you're wondering about. So let's hear from 3 or 4 folks.
One thing I noticed, the commonality with our table is we talked a lot about kids bringing outside stressors into school from their parents or community, kind of with, Sam was talking about, unless you want to share it.
Well, we have the reservation, and so there's just it talked about historical stuff, and even though we come together a lot in Pendleton as a community, there's still that undertone and that we hear from the kids when it's res kids versus white kids, and it's that just still comes up even though the community really tries to be one and come together. That's something that we still kind of mediate at school, whether it can be a joke or there's times where it's serious and they're being serious about conflict that they're having. Yeah. It's not necessarily true. It's just kind of
they're soaking it up from the environment.
Yes. And they're bringing from the past and things like that.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for. The P word.
Yeah, perception is reality to them because they hear from parents so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just from history.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. Hugh, and then here.
One thing I noticed is we all had similar experiences and discussions about the pandemic and more the trauma on teachers as well as students, and just how things will probably not go back to how they ever were before, and the trauma that became because of that.
I think I heard a lot of tables talk about the trauma on teachers from the pandemic. This table here.
We both were going to say something different. I was going to share that, we talked a lot about how is trauma healed in our school. 2 of us teach at the same school, and it's not really dealt with at all. It's brushed under the rug, and it's always let's just get through the next couple weeks, see how it plays out, and it's not dealt with.
Mine was kind of like that. It's just I noticed that I was quicker to think of examples how trauma is created rather than how trauma is healed.
It can feel more compelling to focus on the problem, and especially when there's not a lot of solution. Yeah. Well, thank you all for engaging in this. I know it can sometimes be stressful to sit and look and really sit with it, but my thing is that we're never going to move forward with any of this if we don't sit and just first look at how is this here. And so part of what you might be left with right now is like, this is a lot of stuff. Like, how are we supposed to deal with this? And that's really what we're gonna do next is how do we strategize about where to go from here? But we're gonna take a break. So 5 or 6 minutes, go take a stretch, get some more coffee, do what you need to do.